What's going on, world?
Hey, everybody.
It's your guy, TJ, Mr. New Cool.
And it's your girl, Dani, your permanently exhausted pigeon, who's not a bird, but is a pigeon that's tired.
And a pigeon is a bird, so. We go through this every week.
We do go through this every week.
Every week. But, how are you doing?
I'm actually okay. You know, I'm telling you, ever since this portfolio has been submitted, I mean, I still have, like I said, this other class, there's a couple of assignments left over, but since this portfolio has been submitted, it's like a weight has been lifted. I took a nap this week, baby.
Take a nap every week.
No.
Okay.
I took a nap. First of all, I left school before it was dark, got home, took an hour nap, woke up, took Tatum to swim class. That hasn't happened since earlier this year. So it was glorious.
You mean in that order? But you've definitely come home and taken naps.
Very rarely.
You took a nap last week.
Yeah, and that was after the portfolio.
That was like Wednesday. Anyway, go ahead.
Alternative facts. I feel like you're making shit up now.
Nah, you don't remember? You hit me up. I was working from home. Maybe it was.
I don't recall.
That's crazy to me. Anyway.
You're trying to steal my joy.
Nah, be great. I'm just saying you always napping, so.
I'm not always. You're stealing my joy.
But you're right. A Thursday nap is different than a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday naps. I get it.
I don't like you.
You don't gotta like me as long as you love me.
Whatever. Anyway, welcome to another episode of Lovers Quarrel. We have, as you guys know, we always have wonderful guests on, and we have a very wonderful guest on. Say hi for now.
Hi.
See that lovely voice? That person is going to, of course, be formally introduced a little later in the episode. But you know what time it is. It's time to we've entered the lobby. We're getting on the elevator. And am I going first or you going first?
Are you going up or down?
I'm going up.
I'm going down.
So, all right. So you can go first and then we can...
Nah, you can go up. You can go up first and then we can go down.
Or you're just going to bring the whole mood down? Fuck what everybody else feels.
I don't know if it's necessarily a mood killer. It's just a negative. It's something that I dislike.
You dislike a lot of things.
Like you.
That's fine.
Hey, listen.
As
long as I love you, right? That's all that matters.
Debatable.
Love is better than like. Don't forget that.
Debatable. Okay. Well, anyway. I'm still a little hoarse, y'all. Going up. My elevator voice is a little off. But 'tis the season, right?
We
are recording. It's now December. We are in the throes of the holiday season. And so I am a person who, when it's appropriate, I love watching like holiday movies, Christmas movies and such and all that good stuff. And they make me happy. Like I can watch them over and over again. I watch them every year. My favorite holiday movie is called Love Actually. I don't know. Have you ever seen that?
I have.
Do you like it?
Oh my god, I love that movie. It's so cute.
I love Love Actually.
I don't know what that is. So.
I've watched it such a good movie so many times.
Home Alone 2 is mine.
Home Alone 2 is amazing as well. But Love Actually. Home Alone 2, I would say, is like, I still obviously watch it as an adult, but my favorite holiday movie that I discovered as an adult is Love Actually.
Agreed.
Got you.
So, but I just, like, I like watching them. Like, I even watch, like, the corny, like, so, like, Netflix is definitely Bogarting, like, Hallmark's whole, like, so they swagger jack the shit out of them. So, like, Netflix has, like, a roster of, like, corny holiday movies. Now, I only watch like one of them because I can only stomach them but so much or whatever. But I can appreciate the fact that like it's always like small town or perfect snow, fall in love, blah blah blah. But it just makes me, it like puts me in a good mood, and
that's good.
I like that. So I'm going up. I'm almost through my first watch of Love Actually. I'll watch it probably several times between now and Christmas. But yeah, so
you have fun with that.
I will. I will, as I always do.
I mean, listen.
That's why I watch it without you, because
you never invited me, so I never got a chance.
You wouldn't even like it.
I might. You never know.
You wouldn't even like it.
You're being selfish.
Okay, so you're gonna watch it with me, and then you're gonna be like, "What is this?"
I may ask questions.
He will. He is.
He will.
He's going to.
I might, but still.
It's an ensemble cast. All the.
I know Heath Ledger is in it.
Heath Ledger was not in it. It came out in 2000.
Oh.
He was not in it.
Wasn't he's in one of the movies you love?
10 Things I Hate About You.
Okay.
Oh,
Who
that's one of his first movies.
I was like, yeah, that's like
Okay.
99.
So I thought that was because you said it. Never mind. Anyway.
It is British, like, but he's Australian or was Australian.
All right. Well.
You're not giving me any signs that you're gonna take this seriously.
I had to take it seriously.
Yeah, you do. It's my favorite holiday movie.
Oh, okay. Don't invite me then. Keep it to yourself.
I never planned to.
That's
You
good.
try to bogart my invitation.
I didn't try to bogart your invitation. I just, I would invite you to my world. I'll invite you to all my terrible movies.
Because I'm open minded, except for those.
What? I'm extremely open minded. All the time.
I will watch whatever you want to watch,
No.
except for those terrible ass blockbuster B movies that come on on
BET.
Yeah,
I don't watch them on BET.
I
I watch it on Netflix. Like,
Oh no,
But they're bad too.
They
you
are.
gotta listen. You gotta be able to. You can't say that you're open minded, but you're not open minded to that.
I'm open minded. The door.
I'm not racist. I just don't like these type of people.
the
Like you
door-
can't have both
The
ways.
door is 80% open, and then that 20% of trash ass movies on Netflix like that, I can't stomach it.
Well, I don't want to see it, so
I didn't want you to
I'll
see it.
I'll
That's the whole
Wikipedia
point.
it.
I didn't want you to see it. You wanted me to ask you. You tried to shame me for not asking.
I didn't want you to ask me.
Then I told you the criteria.
You
You
right.
were like, I'm not interested.
Next time I'm
I
watching
know
a
you.
movie, next time I have a movie to watch, don't expect the invite. If you come in my area, I'm gonna be like, you gotta go. I'm kicking you out.
Whatever. Anyway,
Can we go down, please?
mood killer.
That's not a mood killer.
Going down.
So, for those of you who don't know, I am like a porn fan.
Yeah. That he is.
Bang Bros, I watch that like it's a regular TV show.
That he is.
New episode come out Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So, as of recently, with porn, there's been a lot of stepfather having sex with his daughter and a lot of this
That's the genre
incest.
now.
It's
But
really
it's so
creepy.
disgusting.
That's
And I
weird.
don't like.
That's a trigger for some people. Like,
Yeah,
oh.
it's
the
just.
incest and
That's
all
a
that.
thing, though. It's like a big
It's a
thing.
big. I know.
Like
But Bang Bros
stepmother,
used-
stepdaughter.
Bang Bros wasn't always about that. They used to have,
I thought everybody got. I thought on Bang Bros that everybody got in the van.
Nah,
It
it's
was
Bang Bus.
Oh,
It's
That's
a
a-
bang bus.
I
Yeah.
stand corrected.
That's how they first started.
Oh, because
I'm telling you.
they're walking down the
Years
street.
ago, yeah.
This is how long we've been together. How much it's porn type. So they're walking down the street, and then it's like, oh, I stumbled upon this very attractive woman, and they convince her to get in the bus.
Yeah.
What?
And then we'll give you $50 if you show your boobs, and then it turns into full fledged fuck.
See,
Oh my
when I was
God.
18, maybe 19, it's somewhere around that time. That's when it was
That was the
amazing
Was
to
it.
me. Now it's not as much because it's just. But I mean, it's fake. We know that. But it's still just the idea of me being a father.
Ew.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, although we're not about shaming, because
Everybody has their
porn
their
is
thing.
definitely an area where it's alternate reality.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
But
get
can
that.
understand it
I get
too,
that with certain
as far as being
things,
triggered and
but
stuff.
if I married somebody else and they have a daughter, I'm not. My mind should never say
Never.
I want to sleep with
Right.
Of course.
with my new wife's daughter,
Absolutely.
or so for me that's where it's down.
I like that you were on theme with your elevator talk this episode.
I mean, listen,
Since sex will be a
Discuss.
conversation, a conversation piece.
oh
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay. Well, that wasn't really going down. It was more
it's down for me. That's what I said. You said I was a Debbie Downer. I said no. It's just down for me. I hate when I'm looking at porn and it's brother and sister and stepbrother and it's just
Yeah.
when does this work?
yeah. But that's because all those sites they go by which ones get the most traffic, so they're gonna
I know that's so fucking creepy though.
that means that a lot of people watch it.
But why? I think it's just
I think
the
it's
fantasy.
yeah, but I would never want to be a grown man wanting to have sex with
A child.
a child. Yeah,
That's all it boils down to. Nobody's a pedophile here.
Yeah.
So
Well.
so.
Okay.
Do you have anything? Are you going up or down?
I'm going up.
Yes. Go ahead.
A lot of good things have transpired in my life within the last couple of months.
Okay.
Relationship wise, I'm in a really, really, really good place. So I'm going up because of that. Because for the longest, I'm like, men are trash. But I knew men weren't trash. I always say some men, not all men.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, because it's not all men. And I'm now living proof that there are really good guys out there. So I'm going up. Yeah.
That's a beautiful thing.
That is a wonderful thing. That's good. You know, seed planted for our later conversation about everything that you know and do, and then also how it ties into relationships.
Yay.
But with that being said, we're going to jump right back into our relationship tip of the week. So my tip of the week, I'm trying to be on brand as well with this episode. And so in the theme of not shaming, okay, my relationship tip, and this doesn't just apply to like sexual things, whatever, but somebody said something one time, I don't know where we were, and it was like, don't yuck someone else's yum. And
I like that.
When you hear it and you're first like, what? But then it makes all the sense in the world. Don't yuck my yum. So literally, if you want to get super like literal, it could mean like, if I like, which I hate mushrooms, but like if you like mushrooms,
right?
I don't want to be, and you eat something like mushroom pizza, I don't want to be like, yuck, ew, that's just nasty. Don't yuck your yum. But then also too, like preference of like movie type, so we shouldn't yuck each other's yum.
You sound like a hypocrite.
You know, I'm a work in progress, and but yeah, I think in relationships a lot of times, like even when you're with somebody for a long period of time, or if it's still relatively new and fresh, that sometimes you're gonna come to these like crossroads or junctures where you just have different tastes, and opinions or preferences, and as long as it's not like inappropriate in the sense of like stepdad, stepdaughter, that type of stuff, or as long as it's like not unsafe or something like that, or illegal, then don't yuck their yum. Like sometimes, you know, being in a relationship doesn't mean that you're going to have the same interests all the way across the board. And
facts.
And so it's it's really easy. And then honestly, speaking from being with somebody for as long as we've been together, I think sometimes it gets easier sometimes that the things that we do differ with, it's easier for us to like kind of like screw our face up at it or whatever, because it's almost like you're not going away, I'm not going away. I'm not gonna like pretend. I'm not gonna pretend to be interested in whatever it is.
I would.
That is a big issue.
You are full of shit. You would not have pretended.
What? I have. I've watched. TJ, I watched Fifth Element because that's your favorite movie.
That's a good movie, though.
Thank you.
Yeah, but
it has everything.
Yes.
Romance, action, science fiction.
Would I have ever wanted to see it in my normal life?
But
no,
definitely. I think I went to the movies to see it.
No.
Yeah. You judge.
First time I seen it was because of her.
You judge. In your tone.
I don't judge.
You do.
I like to laugh and joke and make fun of.
He is the type of person, he'll be like, so why is this your favorite movie? That type of stuff. So you're still yucking my yum.
I'm not.
You are.
I'm just asking
very
a question.
indirectly.
I'm inquiring. I'm just trying to understand.
But it's how you say it. It's not what you're saying. It's how you say it.
That's what she
almost
says all the
15
time.
years I've been trying to tell him this.
Goals.
So that's my relationship tip of the week, is like when you're in a relationship, be it a marriage, a relationship, a friendship, a kinship, try not to always yuck the other person's yum, because ultimately you can not necessarily, it may not be for you in any realm, be it the bedroom, the TV room, the whatever room you're in, but as long as it's safe and not illegal, then let them do that, and like respectfully be like, all right, that's you, I'll be over here if you really can't get with it, and that is my solution.
That means you gonna watch a movie with me.
But you know what?
Did y'all hear that off, y'all?
Tis the season. This is the season of giving. I will give you the brain cells I'm going to lose from watching it.
Ooh.
Sure.
That's crazy to me.
I think that's very generous.
That delivery was terrible. It was so sarcastic.
But it was true and funny. So
it wasn't funny. It was very sarcastic. If I would have said that, I'd have been labeled an asshole. But when you do it, it's hilarious. This is ridiculous. This is
the way the cookie crumbles.
Anyway.
So what's your wonderful tip?
As my beautiful wife has just said, we've been together going on 15 years. Mm-hmm. So my tip is, sometimes you gotta spice it up, right? So my recommendation is you and your partner, y'all can go to a sex store.
Okay.
And y'all can pick out things that y'all like together. Or if you don't want to go to a sex store, you can do it online.
Exactly.
You could do it online. You know, you can make it a fun little night, a two-parter. So that's going to be my tip.
2-day shipping.
Sometimes it's 1-day shipping. Sometimes we got the free 1 day. Sometimes I got the $5. You got to pay that.
Have we ever been to one together? I don't think so. I know we've been individually.
No.
When
we were
young.
at Towson, yeah.
Did we?
Yeah, when it was on York Road, the sex shop. Loved Ones.
Oh, we did. That was so long ago.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that wasn't a terrible tip. I can give you that.
Tip.
That was a good tip. But with that being said, I'm not a hater.
You're so facetious. That's why you laughing so hard.
I'm laughing so hard because you're just so funny, baby.
You don't even think I'm funny, so she's gonna lie to my face.
I do think you're funny.
Anyway,
at times, I'm just funnier than you think.
And with that, we yield. We're gonna
take a quick.
Go ahead.
Commercial.
What?
Break. What? Take a break.
You didn't say break though.
If I say commercial, they know it's gonna break anyway.
All right.
Hey friend, it's time for you to ditch those workout gloves and get the grip and wrist support you deserve. What do you suggest? You need to get the Gainz Load and Lock grips by Gainz Sports Gear. They are more durable than gloves, have a non-slip grip pad that provides grip support and added wrist support unlike your traditional workout gloves, and will protect your hands from calluses. Do they come in different colors? Not only do they come in different colors, but they are available for men and women. Do yourself a favor, go to GainSportsGear.com. And remember, a better grip equals a better lift. Embrace the process.
And you can get 10% off your first order using our code LOVERS10 at Gainz, Gainz, sportsgear.com. And now, back to the episode. All right, y'all. We're back.
And it's time to formally introduce the sweet voice you've heard.
Yes.
On the other side of the table from us.
And you've probably heard her before.
Yes. She's definitely been making her rounds on the podcast, and everybody loves having her on. So we're so fortunate to have
Horrible Decisions, Sophisticated Ignorance, Ours Truth podcast.
Yes. Some of
and we're probably missing some more.
Exactly.
But
but we have KeKe of the Kinks with KeKe podcast.
Yes.
Hi, KeKe.
Hi.
Oh my goodness. So she is a North Carolina native.
Yes,
you can hear the sweet twang a little bit in there, and she's a transplant to New York City.
Yes.
So this just popped into my head actually, which is since the song came out, how often has somebody said, "KeKe, do you love me?"
Oh girl. Every time I go on someone else's show or someone who knows of the show and they're just like, KeKe, I'm like, I don't love anybody.
No.
Please stop.
That is, and it's funny because I always, when I was growing up, I'd be like, damn, I really wish nobody ever puts Danny or Danielle in a song. And now I'm kind of like, maybe I'm kind of glad that they don't as an adult.
Yes, I have the typical black girl name, so it's everywhere. It's in memes, it's in songs, it's the nickname.
I got a cousin named KeKe, so.
Yes, he does.
See?
Yes.
I know she's tired of it too.
Oh, yeah, she's tired of it.
She's definitely tired of it. But welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. So, we'll get into a little bit more about what your podcast is about.
Okay.
But we want to kind of get to know Kink. Oh my God.
See?
That's like a little, say it 5 times fast type of thing. Like,
I would never.
So, what initially brought you to New York? Because North Carolina is definitely not New York.
No.
So, what exactly got you up here?
My career.
Okay.
Many people know I'm a paralegal.
Okay.
They make no money below Pennsylvania, and barely make money in Philadelphia, if we're being honest. So I wanted to do something different, and I've always said one of my little quotes in my career path was, if I ever become a litigation paralegal, I'll never look back. It's impossible to find in North Carolina because they don't really have a lot of litigation because there's no business in North Carolina like it is New York. So I moved to New York for a career change.
Got it.
And more money.
That makes sense.
This is the place, you know, cost of living is higher, but then in turn,
you make more money.
The paychecks are higher too. So that.
Why? What made you say I'm going to be a paralegal?
I fell into it.
Okay.
I was supposed to be a social worker. I went to school for social work. I was like, this is gonna be it. I'm gonna be all through the county. Like that's where I was like, health department, social services. That was me. Mm-hmm. And when I graduated during the recession in 2009. Nobody could find a job. You know how hard it was.
Yes, I was fortunate, and I was doing some shit that I had no business doing. Like I worked for a cell phone company, and I was like, I don't know.
Exactly.
Sales, but continue.
But yeah, so at the time I was dating a guy and I was like, you're dating a bum. Like we had started dating maybe like 3 months in, I still didn't have a job. I was like, you're dating a bum. And he was like, you're not a bum. You just kind of graduated in a rough patch.
Yes.
So he was like, my mom knows a lawyer. I'll ask her to reach out to him. I was like, I don't know anything about law, but okay, sure. Mm-hmm. So she reached out, I interviewed, got the job, and was like, I could do this. Mm-hmm. And look, 9 years later, basically, I took off with it and was like, this could be my career. I still want to go to law school, but I'm kind of holding back.
Got it. Well, you know, when you feel moved, maybe if it like that changes, you should definitely go for it. But I know I have a couple of friends. We have a few friends that we went to college with who are lawyers or they're just finishing law school.
So my line brothers, like they work corporate America.
Yeah, some of his LBs.
Same.
And then he stopped and went back to school.
But law school is no ho.
Yeah.
And so it is.
Oof. Yeah. And it's expensive. That's what I keep thinking about. I'm like, I already have student loans. Like, jeez, I don't want to add to it. I just want to pay those off and be on my merry way.
But, But I think it's kind of interesting because, you know, we're talking about what brought you up here to New York, but what you're known for as far as in this world is a little left of a
very
your legal expertise. And so as you heard, that KeKe is the host of a podcast called Kinks with KeKe, and that is not about natural hair tutorials.
No, it's not.
Her hair is kinky.
It is about it was about. What are you doing?
My fault.
So, her podcast is about all things kink as far as it pertains to sex. Yes. And of course, correct me if I'm wrong, KeKe has personal experience in this realm, having spent time being a submissive to a dominant partner. Yes. And we, for those who don't, well, actually, I don't know what I'm talking about. Can you just really briefly explain what, like, at least just that little tidbit of what it is to be a submissive versus a dominant for people who may not be clear on that?
Okay, sure. So in a kink, fetish, BDSM dynamic, usually there is one that will either be called the top or bottom. For that's a little bit more layman's term. Like, oh, okay, it makes sense. But as a dominant and a submissive, basically the dominant has all of the final say in the relationship. So they basically call the shots. Whether if you're doing it sexually, then it's just sexually. But mine was a lifestyle change. So he called the shots in my life. And because I'm the submissive, I'm the receptive one. So if he's giving me things to do or a way of doing things, I would do them, as he said, because he's the dominant. And I gave him that power over my life.
Okay. So was that this time in your life when that was the arrangement of the dynamic, was that like your first introduction to kink and fetish? Okay. So
I knew nothing about, I mean, you've heard, but because to like the blind ear or the blind eye, when you think kink, fetish, BDSM, you think white people. Yeah. And you instantly think like leather, whips, chains, and like craziness. It's so deeper than that. So I was like, I don't know if I want to do this. But he was pretty adamant about it, and he educated me on it. Okay. So when he did that, I'm like, oh, okay, maybe we can try this out. Because it's not what I was thinking that it was. So, yeah.
So could you, because, you know, and I think that it's important for people to know that, like, to get a better understanding of, like, what it is to me, like, okay, on the day-to-day, like, just not even just inside the bedroom, but outside the bedroom, that he was a dominant to your submissive. So could you, like, describe what maybe, like, a day in the life would sound like back then?
Yeah. So every morning I would have to text him like, good morning, I'm about to shower, I'm going to do this. If he was in the mood, most times he wasn't, but if he was in the mood, he would tell me what to wear, how to wear it. Like if it was a dress, he would tell me what to wear under it or not wear under it. I would tell him that I basically gave him like points. Like I'm about to eat breakfast, I'm going to work, I'm at work, I'm doing this. Or he would tell me, you're going to eat this for breakfast today. And I'll be like, okay, I'm going to eat that for breakfast today. Or lunch, or skip lunch, or skip dinner. Like whatever he was in the mood for, or whatever the situation was with that particular day, he would act accordingly. So it was basically me just telling him like my whereabouts, and if he told me to dress and I wore whatever he told me to wear, wore my hair however he told me to wear it, eat whatever he wanted me to eat. And that pretty much was like the whole day. Then I would go home and ask permission to like do things. Like maybe I would have to ask permission for a week to shower, or I would have to ask permission to walk my dog at a specific time. Like it would be things like that.
Okay.
It's a lot.
It definitely can be. And so I found like that type of stuff to me is like more interesting than even just like, because I think like you said, when people hear like kink, fetish and stuff, they definitely just correlate it with sex,
right?
And it's like, you know, like you said, the whips and chains and all that stuff like that. But like to know that somebody is kind of like that, there's a level of like eroticism about just being able to like tell somebody what to do with their day,
and he loved that.
And for you to find eroticism in being told what to do is so interesting to me. But like a question I have that just popped into my head is, if there were any times where like there was what he wanted you to do was something that you did not want to do,
all the time,
or that you didn't do, like you'd be like, well, I'm gonna say I did it, but I ain't do the shit.
Yeah, I was thinking that.
And so, like,
eat a banana, I ain't eating this shit. What the fuck?
Like,
you can't see me.
So I know that might have taken the the fun out of it.
Yeah.
But, like, or like, you know, and hopefully like he didn't ever ask you to do something that was like dangerous, or okay, like you're thinking. So like,
not
what?
too dangerous, but a little wild. But it was kind of like a hard limit for me. So I was like, but I mean, he had other women who were receptive of it going like in the future. But I'm just like,
yeah,
no, I'm not doing that.
So if there was something that was a hard limit for you, were you allowed to say?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. And I'm like, I'm not comfortable with doing this, like for health reasons. Okay. So he's like, okay, fine. Okay. But if it was something that wasn't like, that could have been hazardous, he wasn't here for it. Like if I'm like, no, I don't want to, it's like, you're going to do it anyway. I don't care.
So with something like that, you know, I think about consent. Like, you know, how do you like, because now the line is kind of blurred because you don't want it, but because he's the dom, it's like whatever I say goes. It
does, but heart limits.
Gotcha.
Like yes, I've given him
okay.
I've given him consent to basically call the shots. But everyone has their heart limits.
Got you. Okay.
I've never met a person in this lifestyle ever who didn't have a heart limit. So if he calls the shots and what he says goes, and it's something I'm just physically not, emotionally, mentally not comfortable with, he takes that into consideration. Like he's trash, but he wasn't a monster. So he would understand. I'm like, no, I can't do that. And here's why. And he's like, okay, so we're not going to do that. And then we just go forward.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so was he your boyfriend, or was he just like...
He eventually became my boyfriend.
Okay.
Yeah. That's why I say he's trash.
Got it. So maybe like once the emotional...
That's when it got a little tricky.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. Got it. Because I was going to say, like, you know, it sounds like it was at least at some point in like an effective, like, partnership, relationship,
it worked.
Or whatever, because it's kind of like...
Even when we were dating, it worked, but it got complicated.
Yeah. Got it. One thing that, like, you kind of already said, it was like, when you think about kink, fetish, all that stuff like that, it's like, oh, it's some white people shit. Like, of course, the 50 Shades of Grey has obviously, like, skyrocketed. I literally watched the third one, and I've never seen the other two.
Really?
I watched the third one, like, in passing on, like, Wednesday.
I don't know if the movies do the books.
They don't.
Justice.
I didn't read the books. I didn't read the books either.
So I read the first one.
Books are very graphic.
And the first one was very... But then I couldn't read the second and third one just
Me
because
either.
it continued. It was just like the same.
And I didn't like his dynamic. Like they were trying to associate sadism and dominance with like mental issues. Like he was abused as a child,
Yeah.
so
he was like an
orphan. Yeah,
stuff
so
like
he's
that.
like a sadist. That's not necessarily the case.
And yeah, because his the one he was basically like pedophile, because it was his like mom's friend is the one
Yes,
who
that
introduced
brought him
She
into
was
it.
a grown woman and he was like a teenage boy,
Right.
which is like that's highly
Like they're
inappropriate.
making it seem like there has to be something wrong with you. I
Got
like the
it.
undertone. That's why I didn't really rock with 50 Shades, because they're like, why are you making it seem like the people that are into it have issues?
Gotcha.
They don't. Like I'm saying, I'm
Yeah.
fully saying,
Yeah, no,
and functional.
And I brought that up because it was like you said, it's kind of like some again things that like white people do.
Yes.
But why do you think that there is a stigma around BDSM, fetishism, kinky sex, however you want to describe it, within like the Black community or communities of color in general? Because I would go so far as to say it's like other people of color, their communities also like probably take issue
Yes.
with this world.
They do.
So, like, what do you think that stigma maybe comes from?
I think it's generational.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking from a personal experience. Like, I remember growing up, I only had one woman in my family, as far as generational wise, that would openly talk about sex. And she still does to this day. And that is my father's mother. So my grandmother is raw. She is like, who are you having sex with? How is his dick? I'm like,
Grandma.
Oh, grandma, what is going on? I need a 40-year-old. But I think it's generational. Our grandmothers didn't talk about it, so they didn't raise their daughters to talk about it. And then our mothers didn't raise us to talk about it.
Yeah.
And anything outside the realm of traditional sex, because nobody talked about it.
Yeah.
Nobody knows about it. So they're like, no, you're not supposed to be doing that, because we only talk about missionary and doggy style and no oral sex. I'm like, what kind of life are you living?
Exactly.
So I really do think it's a generational thing, because my mother and my grandmothers, they weren't sexually liberated women. Of course they had sex, or else none of us would be here. But at the same time, I don't think they were as willing to be open about it from fear of judgment and fear of rejection. Like, if they say, oh, I like to be choked, and they're like, people will look at them like, well, that's not normal. And they'll be like, you're right, that's not normal. Instead of just saying, okay, well, fuck it, you don't have to think that it's normal. I'm going to do it anyway.
Yeah.
So I think it's generational, because we're like
I can
an
agree with
open,
that.
we're
I
an
can
open
definitely agree with
generation.
that.
Like
And
80s and 90s babies are very open.
And I think it's becoming more acceptable because
Yeah.
the new generation is.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know,
Like even like
we're more accepting. We're
Right.
more open-minded.
We just want people to
things.
live their lives.
Plus,
like,
we got the internet, so we were
I
able
was
to
just
see
about to say that, like,
porn,
our
Yeah.
access
and you
is-
got to kind of see different shit.
you don't
that
have
was
to
like-
work. You don't have to work
Yes.
nearly as hard to get what
it's
you need.
literally at your fingertips.
And
yeah, but I also think when you see more, it may intrigue you more. It may
you
oh,
learn
shit.
who you are when you watch porn.
Yeah.
yeah, you
People
definitely
do
learn your
this?
preferences. And
Exactly.
Stuff like that.
Oh, shit.
And I think like I agree that definitely like it's about being able to have those conversations, and because I remember telling my mom that like I think I'm ready to have sex, right? And like her response was, "It is not all it's cracked up to be." And
My mom said the same thing.
and he is a junior. That's exactly what because I was a senior in high school and he was a junior in high school. And that was like the conversation.
See how
She went-
women are conditioned?
And she went back to like cleaning out the microwave, and I was like,
Ooh.
okay. And this was me.
Oh, nah. I didn't have that
This was me
experience.
like telling her that because I was like, I wanted to get on birth control.
Yep.
Because I was like,
Danny wanted to be safe.
I was the most
But you were
responsible
very
ass teenager
right.
ever. Like I like quite honestly, like we were just like before we got on this year, I was telling you about like how I like quickly I conceived Tatum.
Yeah.
And I'm like, if I hadn't been that like hardcore about it, I was like, there might be like 5 Tatums by now.
Same. That's
Nah.
why I don't have children. I was very,
Wrapped
very
up.
careful in my teens
Well,
and my 20s.
Yes. Because I'm like, you have to be. But I think too, it's about that conversation. But like, I think about that, and then you like, you know, I think about how I had a friend in college who I had to like. This is kind of, I had to literally show her how to insert a tampon because, like,
Was she Southern?
I mean, she was from South below. She's not New York. I don't want to get too specific because
okay.
But
like I was like south in the south. Okay,
not that deep south. But,
okay, because I'm like they don't want to teach you.
Yeah, but like that was kind of a thing, and I'm like, girl, like you ain't never. And I had to like walk her through it. Like we were in my dorm room, and like I had to like walk her through like okay,
literally, yeah,
prop your leg up and all that stuff. Like, and because
Same.
it's just like
I've
it's
been there with
something
friends.
entering you. And,
yeah.
But
that's what women don't want to talk about. Like older women that teach us about like our periods and the first time and tampons. No, you don't want that because that's like slutty and whores. That's why I asked you if she was Southern.
Yeah,
because that's how women think at home.
Because my
like,
mom was I have an older sister and my mom is like they weren't that extreme because they definitely like my mother was very transparent about a lot of things, but like because like I still can't fathom how like girls today or ever. Like didn't know what their period was when they got it.
Yes.
And I'm like, yo, my mother, I mean, plus I grew up in a house with my mother and my older sister. So I, like, every time I went to the linen closet, they were like tampons, pads, everything.
So you were aware anyway.
I'm like, yeah. So when I was 11 and it happened, I was like, oh.
I think it's the generational thing.
It is.
In the black community, it's always been kind of like, in-house stuff stays in-house.
Yeah, and it's a hush thing.
And we don't
like,
talk about certain things.
You're not telling anybody you're becoming a woman.
Yeah, and then even within the house, it's like what happens in this bedroom is like...
Absolutely, which is why people don't talk about sex because it's supposed to be between us. I'm like, but then sex becomes boring because you're not explorative and finding out different things from different people. Yeah. So,
and quite honestly, like, if you talked about it more, people would be more informed. Probably means that people... it's not foolproof, but people would probably be avoiding a lot of situations where they end up in situations that they aren't ready for or aren't comfortable with, because if you know yourself better, if you know what you like, if you know what you don't like, then you're not willing to compromise. You'll know when you're willing to compromise and when you're not. Like basically you'll have a better voice about what you want and as far as that's concerned. But I think that's very true. I think that's a really good point about it being like a generational thing.
Yeah.
And it's time to kind of remove the stigma and open up about it. Because, I mean, yeah, they're difficult conversations to have. Like, we have a toddler of a daughter right now, but one day she's going to be 16 and we're going to be like, and probably sooner than that, it's going to have these conversations.
Absolutely.
And because what I don't want is her
friend telling her.
Woo, which is the worst.
Because, and I mean, KeKe, I teach middle school.
So you already know.
I know the dumb shit they tell each other. And I'm like, no, not my job.
Exactly.
I mean, it's definitely important to have a conversation. Like I said, my situation was a little bit different. Like, my mother told me about sex. Me and my father didn't.
Really?
Yeah, my mother was real open. Because her thing was like, I don't want my sons... So she had a conversation with me and my brother, but her thing was, I don't want my sons to be trash in the bedroom. So this is what women like.
I want to high five your mom.
Yeah.
But women tend to be a little bit more open sexually with their sons.
Okay.
With their daughters, is kind of like, protect her innocence, keep her pure. Like, my mentality is Southern, so...
No, that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's not totally foreign, because you want to laugh. So, like, his mom, kind of hipped him to everything. And
it's dope.
When I tried, and my dad was the one who took me to get birth control.
What?
Yeah,
my dad would have fell over and died.
My dad
conniption.
he was not your average man.
Not at all.
And so, I don't think I've ever talked about this on here, have I? But basically, when I was ready and I knew it, and like I was just like, okay, this is what I want to do. Like, but I want to be safe or whatever. And I I went to my mom. That didn't work very well. My sister was in Maryland, but I called her and I was trying to talk to her about it, and she was kind of like receptive, but like kind of brushed me off, like, oh, just wait, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, and in my mind, I'm kind of like, if I've never brought this up before,
I have to be serious about it.
I'm serious if I'm bringing this to you now. And I had a mentor at the time who was willing to take me, but I was scared for her to take me because I was like, I didn't want my parents to then, if like they found out that they wouldn't let me see her anymore. And so I was like, God damn it. I'm like running out of options here. I'm talking to all the women I know who are like.
And the women are so dismissive.
And I was like, they were not helping. So I went to my dad, and like, my dad was like my first best friend. And I was like, Daddy, like, this is the situation. I remember him like looking at me, and he was like, he kind of looked away, and he looked back at me, and he was like, I'm sorry. And I thought he was gonna be like, I'm sorry, like I can't help you or whatever.
Yeah.
But he was like, I'm sorry that you had to go through all these no's, that you felt like the only person that was gonna listen to you was me. Like I know that this, like he knew it was hard and awkward as hell for me.
But it had to be serious.
So I was like, and he was like, and by no means do I condone this. He was like, but if you're serious enough to come to me with it,
it's serious.
You mean what you say. And he took me.
That's
and I got
awesome.
on the pill. So he was the bomb.
That should have been a proud moment with your parents alone, because you're like, hey, I want to be safe. I don't want to give you grandchildren before you're ready, like before I'm ready. Yeah. So,
but you know, and it's the thing. So like, you know, our parents are sometimes more forward thinking in other areas and a little bit more conservative in others.
True.
So, but that was our situation. But kind of back to the kink, right?
So I have a question.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
To kind of go backwards. In the relationship that you had as a submissive, that's no longer. No. Would you ever go back into into one of those type of relationships?
I would, but it's not a requirement.
Gotcha.
Like I had to say that. I've said that a lot because I've even had to say that with my boo now, because he's like, are you sure you're going to be able to do this with me? Because I'm not into what you're into. It's optional. Like if he wants to explore it just to see if it's something he's into, I'm totally with it. If he's like, no, that's just not for me, I'm totally fine with that too. Gotcha. Like I value the relationship more than the titles. It's like you don't have to be my dom for me to be in a relationship with you. We can just be in a relationship, a partnership together and be perfectly vanilla, quote unquote. Just like what I like sexually. That's my biggest thing. Just be into what I'm into sexually. Our dynamic doesn't have to be strictly BDSM. Like it doesn't have to be like sub dom master slave. I'm perfectly fine.
Got you.
Yeah. But if you want to like, you know, on special occasions, nights and weekends, things like that, if you want to just
I'm not against it.
Like
if he's willing to try it, I'm so down to do it with him. But if it's not something for him, then it's perfectly fine.
That's dope. Yeah. And actually that kind of helps segue into the next question, which is for someone who isn't as well versed in this realm, like how does one begin to kind of like explore their kinky side or their what their fetish might be or BDSM? Like if somebody just kind of wants to dip the toe in, like just to see if they like it, right? How might one like do that basically?
This is gonna sound so bizarre.
Okay, I'm ready.
Porn.
Well, no, that's not bizarre.
And Tumblr.
Oh, Tumblr. Okay, that's
Tumblr.
Really?
Tumblr has an entire universe for Black and people of color in general, BDSM and like kinky fetish enthusiasts. Like it's a whole world of people up there, couples, like interracial couples, same-sex couples that nobody would ever think that were into it. And you can almost find it down to like the specifics, like, oh, well, I'm looking into cuckolding. And you can find a whole slew of couples, Black, white, Hispanic, Asian, that are into cuckolding, and you can find like educational tools. I use Tumblr sometimes with like when I'm giving out like educational things about certain kinks and certain fetishes. Like you can find Tumblr and porn. Porn will tell you what you're into, what arouses you, like kink wise sexually, and Tumblr will seal the deal. So you're like, oh, I like this and this and this. I like bondage and I like impact play. You can go to Tumblr and find people who specialize in those particular kinks and be like, okay, yeah, this is for me. And they'll give you educational tools and you can follow them and network. And then you can link with other people who are like-minded individuals. So porn and Tumblr.
Really?
Yeah.
So porn is kind of like the mechanics of it. Like this go insert here. But then like, and then Tumblr's like the education. Like this is what, you know, or, like, or the social circles that.
Absolutely.
Side note, what's impact play?
Oh. So impact play is anything where you're using like an item to hit someone. So like a flogger or like a whip or a cane, belts, your hand. Yeah.
Got it. Duly noted. Locked in. You want to take the next one?
You got it.
All right.
Actually, I got it.
All right. Go ahead, babe.
What is the perfect kink starter pack?
Ooh, that's a good question.
I came up with that too.
That was, yes, good job, baby.
It's a great question. A good kink starter pack would first off depend on your kink.
Okay.
So I'm going to throw out their impact.
Okay.
So let's say that you like to be hit. Or you're like into sadomasochism, which you like to receive pain and your partner likes to give it, or vice versa. So a good starter kit for that would be, of course, an impact item. A blanket.
A blanket.
Yeah, I'll explain that in a
Okay,
little
I'm
bit.
ready.
Possible painkillers.
Fair enough.
A rope.
Okay.
A ball gag or duct tape if you're into that type of kink. Stacey's like, okay.
I just thought about how that might hurt coming off. So
Yeah, that's
like,
what I was thinking. The ball gag probably easier for her.
Exactly.
But again, if you're into sadomasochism,
Then you like the pain.
then
Makes
there you
sense.
go. Yeah.
True. I do not like pain. Okay.
Some type of refreshing drink, water, Gatorade, Propel, Pedialyte, something with electrolytes in it, and an ice pack.
Okay.
And I only said the blanket is because if you're into impact play, it can take a lot out of you. You'll sweat a lot, which is why a drink is needed. And you're probably going to be pretty tired. So when you come down off that high of being like hit for an hour or two where you're just in a completely different space, when you come down, I'm usually cold, freezing. So I would say a blanket is good because like you're coming back to normal and you need to relax for a little bit. So go sit on a couch or go lay on the bed, wrap them up, make sure they're comfortable, and just let them have their moment.
And I think what's interesting about what you just said with the whole starter pack, though, like especially when you're talking about like after everything's said and done, and like this session is over, is like there's not necessarily the guarantee of like penetration or like sex. It's just
not
like
at all.
this act of this like impact play, and then that is it.
Then bye.
And
Not
that's
bye, but like,
yeah, like
you,
thanks.
of course, administer like their aftercare, whatever they require to come back to normal. And then you're like, okay,
See you later.
thanks. Like, bye.
Like, my Uber's here. Gotta
Yeah,
go.
because not everyone who's into BDSM is into it like just for sexual purposes. Like the people, I went on Horrible Decisions, and with the dominatrix, Goddess Unknown, she was amazing.
Yeah.
It's not sexual for her at all, but it's sexual for the people who are receptive to it. So she's a dom, and her male and female subs, they get their kicks off of it sexually. She gets her kicks off of it because it's like gratifying for her. She's like, I'm satisfied in being a sadist and inflicting pain on these people who love it so much. That's satisfying for me. It doesn't have to be sexual.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
What are other, I guess, kinks out, like, just like, I guess,
Outlandish? Or
no, just because we
Like,
talked
it's
about
okay.
one, so I'm just trying to
Like maybe
see, like, maybe
it
like
was like a highlight reel of like, okay, impact play, BDSM, like what else?
Gotcha. People really like bondage.
Tied up. Okay.
Yeah, tied up. There's like a Japanese rope art form of bondage where you see people if they're suspended,
Yes,
like
I
that
have
beautiful rope tie. Yeah, that's an
Leave it
art.
to the Japanese. They
Yeah.
always do it.
They'd be so ahead
They
of the
be so-
curve.
Yes. They're pretty in it.
DDLG.
Oh, can I guess? Wait.
And we talked about this. So you just talked about that particular porn. So DDLG is another one that's super popular right now. It's disturbing as hell to me.
Oh, is that like something like daddy, your daughter,
Daddy.
dick, long girl? Oh, okay.
daddy, daughter.
No.
Okay.
So daddy. Okay.
But daddy is the first word.
Okay, it's only a 90-minute
You said,
episode.
you said D.
DDLG.
I
Or
thought it was everything.
DMLB.
Daddy, mommy.
You're close. You're so close.
Wait, DDLB or LG? You said DM. A B C D.
So it's DDLG, and I said DM. I'm sorry, it's MD, LB, or DDLG.
Okay, enlighten us.
So DDLG is Daddy Dom, Little Girl, which is we just talked about when you were
Yeah.
talking about how that whole incest, like
That-
some grown women like to go into like what they call a little space and be a little girl with their partner, and their partner is the caregiver. They'll wear diapers and like binkies and onesies, and then you have MD, LB, which is mommy dom, little boy, because you have men who like to do it as well. That's a really popular kink right now, and the thing that disturbs me about it is it's popular amongst teenagers. I do not condone BDSM under the age of 18. Hell, personally under the age of 21. But I mean, you're 18,
that
you're grown, you're gonna do.
Hasn't closed yet.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But it's so popular amongst 16 and 17-year-olds. I had a 17-year-old send me an email, and I was like, I just want to know how old he is, because you know I'm going to report this.
Where's your mother?
Right. That was my first question. I was
mama.
like, you're way too. She was like, but I'll be 18 next year. I'm like,
no. No, baby girl.
I was like, I'm 31. And when I started, I was 27. I have the right. You're a baby. What do you know about this lifestyle? But her boyfriend's 18. Like, they're kudos.
And I think, like, that's, I don't know.
It's like, so disturbing to me.
And is that the kind of, I don't want to say the price you pay, but, like, you know, if, like, we are, like, trying to break the stigmas around things, but then it's just, like, are these people, are they just, that opens it up to them realizing maybe younger and younger what they are interested in. And so I think, like, I definitely wouldn't, like, I also too wouldn't say, like, go ahead with it because you're so young, and you some things you don't know what you like unless you try it out or whatever, but at the same time it's about that emotional maturity,
and the 17 and 18-year-old don't have the maturity to participate in a DDLG. I'm sorry, they just
that
don't.
aspect too.
Like, and I was so, when she emailed, I was like, I am so uncomfortable with you. First off, I didn't even want you listening. I mean, I can't control my listeners,
of course not.
But I always say, like, please be 18 and older listening to this. Do not listen to this around children. And it was just so, I'm like, I'm not comfortable with you doing it, but you are gonna do what you want to do anyway. So the only thing I can advise is do it with somebody your age and be safe. Don't be, because I was concerned. I'm like, is your daddy Dom in his 20s? Is he in his 30s? Is he in his 40s? She didn't want to tell me his age. Right. Shit. Because in this day and age, you never know. And like, she was like, no, we're the same. I'm like, I can't control what you do.
But that's definitely, I mean, that's important. It's like, you got to be responsible when you're doing these things. So just to kind of lighten it up, or, well, I guess I would say, here's one thing. So you said, right, that, like, if your new boo is, like, open to trying things, you obviously, like, will educate him.
Absolutely.
And on the flip side, let's say you as KeKe were like, okay, this is not, we are pretty vanilla, but I want to be the one to introduce him to some things. I want to kind of, like, work these things in here. How would you suggest somebody who has a fetish introduce that to their partner who maybe isn't as well versed into that, to kind of, you know, because it could be a very touchy subject to approach to a person, be like, I know that this is not what you're used to, but I like XYZ, and, like, you know, so how could a person go about bringing that up to their partner?
You have to communicate about it. Like, you have to be really not beat around the bush about it or be indirect. If it's something you're really into that's going to satisfy you in the relationship, put it on the table and explain to that person, hey, this is what I like, this is what it is, and even send them, like, articles and links about it. And then when they get an idea and they educate themselves and, like, okay, this doesn't seem so bad, I'm always going to go back to porn. I would say watch a scene of whatever you're into together, because it goes back to porn and Tumblr. You educate yourself, but you also learn what you like when you watch it. So if you're watching it as a couple and you're receptive because you're into it and you're loving it, but they kind of seem a little standoffish, that kind of tells you where you stand with them in that situation as well. You can educate them on it, but if it's just not for them, it's not going to be for them. And then you got to cross that bridge and go to the next step. But yeah, talk to them about it, educate them on it, give them the space to educate themselves on it, and then watch it just to get their reaction from whatever it is that you're into.
True. Yeah, and I think that's a smart thing, because watching porn as a couple is definitely very informative.
Yeah, it is.
In our younger years, I mean, we've obviously done it watch porn together multiple times.
Right.
And
I'm saying you're funny years.
You know what? When I was a lot less busy, we watched and like see. But then he stopped watching it with me because I had a lot of questions.
And that's women.
And I was like, this.
That's not why.
I was like, why is she like this?
Yes, that's.
And I'm like, why is her leg all the way over there? I was like, this is not like.
So
I used to watch it with my friends in college, and we used to have group discussions. Like, so why is her hair like that?
My thing is, if we're gonna do that, then we should be sitting down to watch it, not sitting down to set the mood and then you ask a question and it's killing the mood.
That is very true.
Fair enough. Because I would be like. So, and like, I get distracted by like the dumb shit. And, like,
yes, that's what women do.
Because I'm like,
why is there a microphone up there?
And I'm like, why is his socks on? Like, why do you have his socks on?
Men see the act itself. Women are like, what's going on over here in the corner with those 3 people with cameras? Like,
and I'm like, because it's just like, you notice everything else. So I just always remember being like, why don't they just take their socks off? Like, you're butt ass naked, but you will keep your socks on.
Which is a turn off. Yeah.
Which I hate that. Oh my God, I don't like sleeping in socks. The only time I sleep in socks, period, is when I'm like, I have like the flu or something like that and I'm freezing. But and then like one thing I'm personally not a fan of is like when they come on their face. Like I can't. I'm just like, it's like, to me, I'm like, and because I'm just like, they're lying. They don't like it. I was like, you ever have like a gob of ketchup like right here on the side of your mouth? You feel it and it's not comfortable. And I'm like, so I just think of the same thing.
Women love it though.
And I know,
like,
and I'm
so
not,
much.
And I'm not, and I have, and that is perfectly. I'm not going, yuck, you're young. But for me, I would just imagine if I just had like some type of condiment on my cheek after eating, and you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, and you feel it, and you're like,
and I'm just like, to me, that would be the same idea. That's where I get it. That's where my brain comes together, KeKe. So, But anyway, so here is 3-parter, right?
Okay.
What is your favorite kink? Or if I'm not, and I apologize if I'm not using the right like use verb.
No, you are. What's my favorite kink? Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Or kinks.
Or
kinks.
What have you?
You may have more than one.
I do.
And what's something that you tried that you will never do again? And what's something that you'll never do? Period. Like you won't try.
Hard limits.
Hard limits.
You learn some things.
Look at that.
Yay.
Moving on. Look at it.
So my favorite kinks are sensation play, which is when you either use sensation to stimulate or you take away sensation to stimulate. So I like to be blindfolded.
Okay.
I'm a fan of bondage.
Okay.
So I like to like have my senses like completely deprived. So no, I don't like to hear. Like, so take my hearing, take my sight, take my ability to touch. Take my ability to talk. That's one of mine. So sensation kink is a favorite. Bondage is a favorite. Orgasm play is a huge favorite, and it's like orgasm denial.
Oh, is it what they call? Is it called ribbing or something like that? Is that
It's edging.
Edging.
Yeah.
I was using something with an ing. I was like, I've heard that. Okay.
So those are like probably my top 3.
Okay.
And one I tried that I didn't like it wasn't a necessary kink because I like impact play, but it was caning. It was very painful.
So
never again.
We were listening to that. You were on another show, and I heard you were talking about that, and you were saying like,
it was
you
bad.
Recovered like a month or 2.
Yeah, like I still have you. If you put the right light on me, the bruises are still there.
Jesus.
Yeah.
And how long?
And that was
happened?
last September.
Oh my god.
So it's been over a year, and I still have like. It's like an underlining bruise because it was really bad.
Jeez.
Yeah, so never again. That's why I said ice pack and painkillers.
Got it. Duly noted. And then what's like a hard limit? Like we're not even gonna approach this topic.
I'm not doing any type of fecal play. Like I'm not doing scat play. Period. Blood play. So basically body fluids. I'm not doing like piss play.
The ones that come in. Normally during
sex.
Yeah.
During sex. But you're not gonna pee on me. I'm not gonna pee on you. That's just not me. I'm not here for like the people who are into like blood play and like period blood. It's gross. And scat I mean, no judgment. It's just not for me.
Yeah.
So those are usually my hard limits are like excrements. Like anything that's like you're distributing waste.
And as the mother of a person who's just being introduced to the body, like I've changed so many shitty diapers in the last year and a half. It's like I would not want to deal with anybody else's shit.
And that's your toddler, exactly.
Like I birthed.
So thank you.
Yes, that's
so
the only
imagine
hers and mine.
a whole adult trying to do. I'm not. That's a hard limit for me.
Yeah, I could.
Like it's never. I've never done it. Never planned to do it. I told him I was not doing it. I don't know if he's done it with anyone else, but it wasn't for me. So
wow, that is interesting.
I'm just trying to think, like,
TJ's like dumbfounded.
What do you get out of that? Like,
some people get like this sexually aroused. I talked to a lady in Texas who was like a dom, and she would make men masturbate. Like she would make them use the bathroom and masturbate with it, and they loved it. Like they would get
Wait, I'm about to cough again. Excuse me. Wait, I wasn't ready for that. Okay.
So some people get like sexually they're aroused.
But the
from
smell,
it.
like,
they don't care.
That would freak me the fuck out.
Oh, we're not in the business of kink shaming.
No, I'm not shaming. I'm saying for me.
Right, it's just not for you. Right.
Yeah, same here.
That's exactly how I feel.
When I have to pick up London's throw up. So
I saw two girls one cup, and
that did me in. I was like, is this real?
I was not prepared whatsoever.
But I didn't know then. I know now. It's a real thing. Some people out here are what you call human toilets, and I'm like, nah, I'm good. Like I feel like you'll get sick, you'll die from like a weird bacteria that's only in fecal matter. Yeah. I'm scared. Like I don't want to have to go and get like tetanus shots because of some wild shit. So
yeah, we're gonna have to. Yeah, that's gonna be in like this. This part of the conversation is gonna be in like the description for this episode. It's like on this week's episode of Lovers Quarrel, Dani and TJ talk about scat play. Like they're like, what? They're like, the fuck. Like,
I can't tell them. He's gonna have to listen. Yeah, he's gonna have to hear it.
That's it.
We're gonna put a disclaimer like, be prepared to do your Googles because there's like lots of new vocab.
Yeah.
So being someone who engages in this lifestyle from time to time, I guess is the best way to describe it, can be misleading because, and so in the sense that like people make assumptions.
Yes.
I'm presuming a lot of assumptions about you as a person. And so what would you say is like the biggest misconception about the people will come to about you as KeKe, and then also about like the lifestyle in general?
The biggest thing I get, and I feel like most women probably get this, is because we're into a lot sexually. We're into everyone sexually. So they're like, oh, well, you do this and this and this. I know you're doing it with everybody. No. Again, like I said, I've been single for over a year now. And wasn't entertaining any type of BDSM, anything with anyone. So just because I'm open and just because like, I get the misconception, because you're sexually liberated, that you're a hoe.
Yeah.
So that's the main thing I get. They're like, well, you have to be. Like, why wouldn't you be having sex with multiple people? You like to be choked. I'm like, that doesn't mean I want to be choked by 6 different dudes this week. Yeah. Right. Like, they don't even make sense. And the biggest misconception I've gotten from people just with the lifestyle is something's wrong with you mentally.
Yeah.
They're like, it has to be, were you abused as a child? Did your dad love you? I'm like, my parents have been married for 25 years. They've been together 38 of total. They are the marriage I idolize because I was there for the inception of the marriage because they got married when I was 5. And I've seen them go through their ups and downs and still wake up every morning and make that shit work.
Yeah.
So, no, I came from a pretty stable background, small town, 2 traffic light kind of girl.
Oh, wow.
I'm not depressed. I wasn't abused. I wasn't raped. I wasn't molested. Like, people think those things like, oh, well, you have to be, something has to be wrong with you. No, it's a stigma. Yeah.
But that's definitely important to make sure that, like, and I think that's why, and we, Tia and I always say this, is like part of why we have guests on our show is because we can only speak to our experience.
Right.
And we can only speak to what we know and what we've done or seen. But there's so many others out there. And
so many layers.
And I think what's so dope about just doing this whole podcast thing is like we've been introduced to so many different people who, when you talk to them, it's like, oh, I work in corporate America. Oh, I do this for a living. Oh, I do that. But then like either what they do for a living or what they do outside of the job sometimes like don't always like quote unquote equate.
They don't.
At all. But it's like it's so important because it's like everybody's so regular, run of the mill, like this is me, and it's just like I think it's so important that these conversations happen because that's the first way that you break the stigma. You have a conversation, you communicate about them.
Agreed.
Because even if it's one person who listens to this and they're like, oh well, I mean, I thought it wasn't for me, or I thought that this was something that was like real some white people shit, like you said, but it's like, oh no, there's this.
It's a whole community.
A
lot of black people.
Exactly.
Like it's amazing how many people I've met just alone with the podcast, and even beforehand when I was like really really big on Tumblr. Like it's amazing how many people are like, yeah, we're into it and we're proud of it.
True that.
How do you bring up your kink preferences with the person that you're dating?
I tell them listen to my podcast.
That's the way to check my references.
It's an icebreaker. So if they listen, like he listened to a few, speaking of the devil, and I was like, so now you know. And if he had questions, of course he'd ask any questions. But I'm pretty much an open book anyway. So if I'm in a relationship with you, or we're building towards that, like I'm a big believer and advocate for everyone vocalizing what they want sexually. Because you're not going to be sexually satisfied. And then you're going to be unhappy in your relationship in some aspect because you're not getting, all of your needs aren't being met.
When did you tell him, check out the podcast? Like how far along or
the day after I met him.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
like I'm gonna let you already know. I'm gonna let you already know. And he also has a podcast as well.
Okay.
And it's sexual based.
Okay.
So I was like, okay, this could work because you're pretty you're pretty open sexually, and you talk about like your escapades, even though he's kinky, but not like we're on different levels.
Gotcha.
And that's not a problem for me. Just try. Like that's all I want you to do is try. Yeah. So I told him very early on, and vice versa. So now we kind of have an idea of what each other's into sexually.
Have you ever told somebody about what you like and it scared them?
Yeah. I had a guy I really, really liked the beginning of this year, and I was like, this could work. And then I'm like, okay, I'm going to have to eventually tell him. This was when I was about to start the podcast.
Gotcha.
Like, so you're going to hear some outlandish shit because I'm going to be talking about this podcast as it goes forward and it gets bigger. I'm like, so I'm going to tell you this is what I used to do. This is what I was. And he was like, that's a little too much for me. So I was like, then you're not the one for me. So that's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
That sucks.
No, it's cool. Because then I would have never met who.
Yeah, no.
So
I mean,
everything works out.
It's better that it worked out the way it worked out, but it's still like, you shouldn't have to worry about who you are,
and
or hide who you are.
That's
because
the thing.
Society isn't,
up to speed with me.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was one of my biggest fears. I'm like, will I ever meet anyone else who will understand like my past or will understand, hey, I like this? I mean, it's not a requirement every time we encounter each other, but I'm into this. Are you cool? Like, that was a concern.
I think that's the biggest. I mean, I also feel like as you mature, you should.
Yes.
There's a lot of shit that I said I would never do or shit that I would like, if a woman had a child, I would never date them. And now that I'm older, I'm just like, no, I would.
Because as you mature, you're like, no, that's life. Like,
or
that's
if a woman
circumstance.
had, when we were growing up, having too many bodies was like the worst thing. But my thing is like,
now, Lord, people got graveyards. But let me not say that. I don't care.
Even if they do,
that's not my concern.
It was before me. Like, it has nothing to do with me.
Agreed.
If I like somebody, I'm not going to let society. I wouldn't let society tell me I can't like this person because they had a past.
And who made that the norm? Like, because they have a past, who made that the staple to say, oh, well, you can't, she got bodies, you can't do that. Like,
somebody who got made fun of, probably.
This puritanical, that's basically all that stuffy English rhetoric that got passed over.
Absolutely.
And then we, you know,
came
you can take
over.
like to the slave trade and everything when they got here, and then, you know, they turned them into Christians, and that's where it's rooted in religion, and then, you know, it just gets passed on generation after generation, like they said, and it becomes a, how do I want to say this? But ultimately, it just becomes a situation where people need to have those conversations in order to figure out, hey, what do I like, what I don't like, what am I here for, what am I not here for, and you can respect it, because like you said, we got yuck and nobody else is young. But at the same time, like, it's better for folks to just know up front. I agree with that, because like it's not, you're not wasting time,
right?
You know, and if you were to waste time, then like it's just everybody's got feelings involved, and then it's like it becomes a much more complicated situation. But I think we have a few more questions for you, and then so like obviously in the podcasting world, in any form when you're talking publicly, right? Yeah. It can be a little liberating. It can be nerve-wracking, because there's things that I feel like I still am not like at a place where I'm like comfortable sharing, at least on like our platform, because I'm for fear. Yeah. You know, and like we were just talking about most times like relationship dynamics and things like that. But what is like, so for you, like what has been some of like the more liberating feelings about sharing your experiences? And then what has been kind of like a nerve-wracking feeling? So, because I think they're both. I think something to be liberating, it has to be scary too. Yeah. So,
liberating is because the people who are so receptive to it. Like, I wasn't expecting that, but I didn't have a fear of it, because I'm like, either you're gonna like it or you're not. And that's not gonna change who I am or what I experienced in the last 3 years. So you can go. So that was very liberating. Basically owning it was the most liberating thing, because I was like, I didn't want to be known for a minute. I was going to stay completely anonymous. And then I was like, you know what, eventually I'm just going to have to put it out there and just be like, this is me, and I'm unapologetic about it. So that was very liberating. What's like nerve-wracking about it is being recognized. I was just recognized last night in the supermarket and was like, I'm sorry, what now? Oh. It's like, I know you. I'm like,
no, you don't.
I was like, you know, I'm never in the neighborhood like that. Like, I'm working home. And it's like, no, you have a podcast. I definitely know you. I heard you on Horrible Decisions. I was like, oh my God. Like, I was terrified. Like, oh my God, no. And I think it's that, because I'm afraid, like, I don't care who hears it. Yeah. My parents, it cannot get back to my parents.
I was going to ask that. That's my next question. Like,
no, they don't know I have a podcast. They don't know anything about it. People who know me, if you're listening to this, please don't tell them. Like, I don't care who else hears it. I just don't. It's something about my parents and my grandparents hearing it that just makes my skin crawl. Like, I don't. That's fair. And again, this is how generational. I wasn't raised in a household to be open about talking about sex with my parents with no judgment. So, that's the nerve-wracking part. I don't care about anybody else. Like, being recognized, fine. I just don't want to be recognized by my parents. That's all.
That's fair.
Do you think that they would be uncomfortable or upset with you?
A little bit of both.
Okay.
They would be uncomfortable because they're like, well, why are you putting it out there for everybody to know? And they would be upset because they're like, well, what did we do to you for you to be into this? Because they don't understand, like, kinky life or just BDSM in general. So they'll be like, so what happened to you? What did we do wrong? I'm like, you didn't do anything wrong. This was a sound decision of my own that I made. Like, nobody coerced me into it. I did it.
And you started this when you moved up here?
No, before. I started it in the end of 2014, the beginning of 2015.
So you were still in downtown?
I was still in North Carolina. Yeah, and
so I was gonna say, you came, they went like, you know, moved to New York and lost your damn mind.
Not knowing that it took place before I even left the state. Like, I was in North Carolina a year actively doing it. Wow. And then I moved here and I did it all last year. And then at the end of 2017, I completely ended things with my dom. So I haven't done it since.
Got it. Yeah. Do you ever miss it?
Yes and no. Okay. I miss the lifestyle, but I don't miss doing it with him.
Okay.
So it would be, like I said, if it was something that my new boo is willing to try, let's do it. I'm all here for it.
A little best of both worlds.
Yeah. And if he's just like, no, it's not for me, cool.
Got it. So This also just popped into my head. So when you were talking about all the way in the beginning, when you were like how he would say like, okay, this is what you should eat for lunch.
Yeah.
Whatever. And I'm like 4 peas and something. And I'm like, why am I
thinking like the secretary?
Yes. And I was trying to remind myself like, where is this like visual coming from? And I'm like, secretary.
Yeah, they can dictate your food too.
And Secretary is a really good movie.
It is.
And so I like, but my
another movie she didn't invite me to see.
The secretary's like, it was like,
because you would have been like, what are you watching?
it was a real introduction to BDSM.
Yes,
like a real, not 50 Shades, like a legit introduction.
It was it's because he would tell her what to do. Like he would call her and be like, you're gonna have 4 peas, a scoop of mashed potatoes, like 3 ounces of steak of a protein, and then that's it.
Yep.
And my question was like, when you were in the lifestyle or like actively participating, and like, were there any like unusual requests that like had people that you were like in your day-to-day life, like girl, let's go to lunch, and you're sitting and you're eating like 3 strips of like, you know, I can't say romaine lettuce because that shit is banned right
devil.
now. But something like that, and somebody would be like, girl, like,
no,
really,
no. His main concern with me was, okay, we just need you to eat. Because I was also really sick. I have lupus, and this was before I was diagnosed, so it was just symptoms going haywire. So I was sick a lot until like 2016. So it was him more so knowing me as a person and him telling me to do things to look out for my well-being. He was like, eat today because I know you're not going to if nobody tells you to eat. So it was like that, like never what to eat. It was just eating. Sometimes he would tell me what to eat. Like if I was just like, okay, you need to eat something with protein or you need to eat something with grains or something, like go eat some oatmeal just to feel better. Like go eat soup because you feel bad, like stuff like that. But never like eat, you know, this one little piece of chicken and a piece of kale and go to bed. Like, no.
Okay, because that's
some are like that though. He wasn't like that meticulous.
And that's where my head was at, and I just kept saying like, dang, why do you think about some damn peas? Like and I kept, you know how like you can see, you can't quite place it. I was like, I see 4 peas on a. As
soon as you said it, I was like, secretary.
Yeah. So you should add it to the list of things you should watch.
Really good movie.
I'm watching by myself because you don't. We don't watch movies together. Obviously.
Oh my god, because
that's petty.
You know, he is petty.
She's petty.
He's very petty.
She just named another movie that she saw.
Because you be coming in, you be movie shaming me.
I don't
movie shaming.
I don't.
Dude, because do you were doing like, so why are we watching this?
That's how I ask my questions.
Or can I change the channel? That's what he comes in. So I'm like,
yeah, I exactly. See, can I change?
Gosh.
Can I change the channel? Means, are you watching this? Because if you're watching this, I'm not going to change the channel. So if you say no, I'm watching it, I'm gonna turn over.
Next time, before you part your lips and say, "Can I change the channel?" Sit down for 5 minutes and watch it with me, and maybe you get into it. No. Invite me next time. You know what?
Say, babe, listen. Before you ask,
I'm not doing all the legwork here.
Exactly. See, you can't have it both ways. And that's what you're trying to do. You want it both ways. You want your cake and you want to eat it too.
I'm rolling my eyes. I'm gonna narrate.
You are.
I'm rolling my eyes.
You do that a lot.
I do, because you are eye roll worthy, baby.
You're a terrible person.
Whatever. I ain't going away. You stuck with me. Yes, you are.
Sure.
He's like, yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Forever.
Sure.
Ever.
Sure.
Don't verbal shrug me.
Sure. Forever. That's what they say.
I'm giving him the middle finger.
She is. She's a terrible person. This is what I deal with all the time.
But I'm everybody's favorite person.
He wouldn't have it any other way.
Thank you. So, KeKe.
Yes.
Podcast, new boo, flourishing professional career, love-hate relationship with New York City.
Yes.
Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years?
Married.
Woo woo, teen marriage.
Living in Columbus, Ohio.
That's very specific.
Wow.
I'll explain it a little bit after. But yes, married, hopefully with a child, living in Columbus, being a paralegal, happy, just with my car again, reunited with my vehicle because I miss it, and just happy that I have space.
Yes. And listen, you hear that, y'all? Somebody who has some very unique preferences within the bedroom, wants a very vanilla lifestyle.
Very vanilla. I want a super traditional lifestyle.
Yes.
Just a kinky
Little
undertone.
sprinkle. Just a little sprinkle. You know when you want like funfetti ice cream? It's
Yes.
like vanilla with a
With a
little
little
rainbow.
sprinkle.
Rainbow kiss
Yeah.
inside.
Absolutely.
You want
That's a
funfetti.
good way.
So I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
I agree. How many kids do you want?
2.
Okay.
Good answer.
Because he has children already. So I'm like,
Cool.
okay, let's keep this village a little small.
That is fair.
Yeah.
That is fair. That is
Because he has kids already.
Yeah.
As
well,
in already there. Like adding on to what's already
Yes,
there.
we will definitely be adding
But
to the
2 is a
village.
wonderful, nice round number.
It's not. I
2's
mean, it's
not?
a round number, but it's not. I need a bigger.
I know what it's. I think it's a mental thing. I'm an only child. I know
Okay.
what it's like to be an only child, and though my child will have siblings, like have siblings. Not saying I want them to have a whole. I just don't want to have one baby. I know what it's like to
that's
be an
good.
only.
That makes
Like they're
sense.
gonna have tons of siblings, but it's just like I'm gonna give you another sibling just because I know what it's like to be that one standalone baby.
I wanted 4, right? Danny's not at all.
No.
But I'll settle for 3. I just
Why not 2?
I grew up with 2. Like it was me and my brother, and I'm just like, if we would have had like one more in the house,
I get
it would have just made, it would have changed the whole dynamic.
I just want my child to be like an auntie or an uncle. I will never get that.
Yeah.
Like unless it's like an in-law type of thing. But that's
Yeah.
why I'm like, he has children. I'm perfectly happy with adding a baby to the dynamic. But I want my baby to have nieces and nephews. Like they're gonna have them anyway. But it's a
understand.
mental thing
I got
because
you.
I have no nieces and nephews
Aw.
ever.
You don't got no best friends.
Yeah, they're my god kids and
Yeah.
basically my nieces and
Exactly.
nephews.
So
And that's real.
you got it somewhere else.
Yeah.
Pick me.
No.
Call me. So I mean, this is definitely a little left from where we started, but
It's very left.
my argument is, you know,
You don't have to push them out.
let's have 2. I never wanted to, I have an older sister.
Yeah.
And we're 10 years apart, so it's like
God damn.
That's a big gap.
It's a big
So
gap.
it's like
So
you
it was
grew
like-
up in
it
different
was-
households.
So yes, because by the time I was 8, she was gone, and then she was
Yeah.
in college. So grew up feeling like an only child.
Yeah.
But now that we're obviously older and grown, now
You're
we're
on
like
the same-
sisters
Mhm.
and we're like best friends.
So now
and
you're
so-
like sisters. I weren't sisters before.
But now it's
I understand what you're saying. I'm just
okay.
messing with
Because
you.
your brother's 7 years older than you.
Yeah,
So-
but I like literally grew up with Anthony forever.
Okay.
Shout out to you, Smalls.
The point I'm trying to make though is that
And my parents were messed up for that too.
I get
7 years. What were they thinking?
they were
I don't
thinking that
think
college
seven's
is
bad.
expensive.
Hello?
That's exactly what your
You wanna
parents
do it in segments.
But if you start saving now, you get a nice little 529 plan.
So let's
Anyway, go ahead.
Let's get back to it. So I've already had one,
Yes.
and
So you can push out 2 more.
Whoa. I haven't even pushed any in the stories I
Yeah.
heard.
And so the point is that, and I had a, uncomplicated, easy pregnancy all the way up until it was time for her to come, and she didn't feel like it, so I ended up having a C-section.
Oh,
But
that's my fear.
it was I bawled, I threw up, I cried so hard when I was in labor. Yeah, but the point I'm trying to say is that I think about and it might be a little selfish, but part of it is I think about the toll that it takes on your body.
Yes.
And and that's with it being totally fine, like perfect, everything was always
And it
on the
still
up,
takes a toll.
and it still sucked the life
Yeah.
out of me because like I always tell people, I'm like, listen, I was growing eyeballs and elbows,
Hello,
and assholes
teeth,
and all that-
and
teeth,
a
and all
whole
that.
person.
A whole person just chilling for 41 weeks. And so so doing that multiple times over doesn't always sound like ideal, but
I feel like it takes a mental toll on
it does take a mental toll. And I also think about like the responsibility part. Like I don't doubt that, like, I definitely have had that feeling of like being the mother to like, parents to like one child right now, and it being like, how could I ever love another person the way I love her?
Aww.
Because and then and like, but everybody who has parents of like 2 or more kids,
Yeah.
no, like
it's just gonna happen.
you have
Yeah.
to. So the only thing I think of is it's not about the love, because I feel like the love will always exponentially grow.
Right.
It's just the responsibilities that come along with it, and like trying to split yourself, you know, between
Two ways.
I mean, and, even that's with a 2-parent household. That's with a village. That's with everything. And so what I agreed to, KeKe. So you know, since this is about you, this episode's about you and not us. But what I agreed to was that I was like, listen, we'll absolutely have another one.
Yay!
Soon. In a fair amount of time. Let's see what 2 feels like.
Listen.
And then we can
hello, I'm with you there.
Thank you.
And I have none, but we can have a conversation.
I speak to my man G.O.D. all the time.
Oh God. Okay. I was like, oh.
And he gonna give us triplets, and then we good.
Whoa!
See?
One pregnancy.
At once?
One pregnancy.
No.
You don't love me.
I do love you.
You don't love me.
No, not one pregnancy. He made it seem like, one and done. Like, no, actually it's 1 and 3.
No.
I mean, technically, yeah.
I have a
3 newborns.
A girl I went to high school with, first time being pregnant, triplet boy. And I tip my motherfucking hat to her. Every time she posts pictures of them 3 boys, they're like 3 now.
Oh,
can you imagine having 3 Tatums right now? No,
look at he's like, yeah.
If I had to.
Of course,
well, that's different.
Whatever God gives me, I'm just saying.
Okay. Well, you know what? This has been another episode like that. No, but KeKe, thank you so much for being on here.
Thank you for having me.
Hope you enjoyed
I
your time.
did. You all are so cute. I love it. Like I said, your goals.
Oh,
So.
thank you. Most importantly, please let everybody know where they can find you, where the podcast is on platforms, all that good stuff. Go ahead.
I am on SoundCloud, Stitcher, Google Play. I'm working on Spotify and iTunes Radio. Where else am I? I think that's pretty much it. But yeah, it's Kinks with KeKe. You can find me on Twitter as well as Tumblr. I love Tumblr. It's Kinks with KeKe. My IG got deleted 3 or 4 months ago. So this is my new IG. So it's Kinks with KeKe podcast. It was just Kinks with KeKe. But somebody reported me and I got deleted.
Wow.
So yeah, that's where you can find me.
And just for clarity, it's KeKe is with E's, not I's.
Yes, KeKe.
Yes.
And we'll also put it on the show notes like we always do.
Thank you.
You'll be able to get all the information and follow her and converse with her and
get some, get some insight and education.
You have questions. Give me your questions.
Yes. So thank you. This has been, another episode of Lovers Quarrel with Dani and TJ. As always with us, you can find us on Instagram at Lovers Quarrel Show. And you can always find TJ probably on Twitter at Lovers Quarrel 7. And of course, if you have questions, concerns, comments, anything of the sort, email us at loversquarrelshow@gmail.com. And with that being said, we're going to wrap this other episode up. This is your girl, Dani.
And this is your guy, TJ.
And as always, we fuss.
We fight.
But we love.
Oh, shit. I messed that up.
Come on. Let's
do it again.
Shit.
As always.
We fuss.
We fight. But we love.
Bye.
Bye.
Stop taking my outro.
Bye.
It's funny.
Hating ass.
Why I gotta be all that?
Because you're trying to be like me. Click end.
I win.
I win. Bye.
I definitely win.